Oh my God. I still can't. Actually, my therapist says I need to process it. But honestly, what's there to process? I mean, things happened. Sure, but it wasn't my fault. Not really. I'm Kayla, 27, and at the time, I was a contractor in Iraq. Yeah, I know, I sound tough, right? I am. You have to be out there. But sometimes, even tough girls just want to go home, and that's where things got a little complicated. So, this happened on a supply run. We were out there in the middle of nowhere, just a couple of Humvees and a truck, hauling some gear to a smaller FRB. It was hot, dusty, boring. You know how it is. Days just blend together, and you just want to get the mission over with so you can go back to the air conditioning and maybe some bad instant coffee. That was my whole vibe. Get in, get out, done. My team was with me. Marcus, who was driving the lead Humvee, a good guy but a little too by the book for my taste. Always asking about regulations, always checking the map. Annoying, honestly. Then there was Sergeant Reed, our gunner, who was constantly on edge, always scanning, always tense. And finally, Miller, the new guy, who was just trying to keep up, fresh out of training, all wide-eyed and eager. Bless his heart. We'd been out for what felt like forever. The sun was beating down, and the dust was getting into everything. I was riding shotgun in the lead Humvee, looking at the map, but mostly just wishing I was anywhere else. We were supposed to hit this one checkpoint, a little Iraqi army outpost, get our signatures, and then we were cleared for the final leg. Standard procedure, except my phone had been blowing up all morning with texts from my boyfriend back in the States. Chad, he was being all dramatic, talking about how he missed me, how he felt like I was pulling away. Typical Chad. I mean, he's sweet and all, but sometimes he just needs too much attention. And I was just not in the mood for his emotional garbage when I was baking alive in a Humvee. I just wanted to get off the radio, get a decent internet signal, and deal with him later, or never. Whatever. So, we get this radio call from the checkpoint. It was a fuzzy transmission, crackling in and out. The guy on the other end, some Iraqi soldier, was speaking broken English, but I caught something about possible activity and do not proceed. Marcus looked at me, his eyebrows raised. Did you catch that? Kyla. Sounded like a warning. I waved it off. Nah, just static. Probably their crappy radio. You know how they are. Always overreacting. Seriously? These guys would call a full-blown alert if a goat sneezed too loud. Between us, I just wanted to get the mission done. I knew the area. I'd been through it 1,000,000 times. What were the chances something actually happened? Slim to none. I figured if we just pushed through, we'd be back at the fob eating some MREs and complaining about our lives in no time. Marcus hesitated. Are you sure? It sounded pretty clear. Maybe we should double-check with Tok and wait another 2 hours for them to figure out their butts from a hole in the ground. I scoffed. No thanks. We're already behind schedule. Just push it. It's fine. I used my best I know what I'm talking about voice. The one that usually gets guys to just agree with me. Marcos, being the too nice guy he was, just sighed and kept driving. He always avoids conflict, which is why he's so easy to manage. Poor thing. So, we ignored the checkpoint. We just rolled right past it. Didn't even slow down. I actually gave a little wave to the guys at the outpost, who were looking at us with these bewildered expressions. They probably thought we were just too hardcore to stop. Which, you know, 'tis kinda true. We kept going, the dust plume trailing behind us. I was already mentally checking off the boxes in my head. Mission complete. Back to base. Maybe a quick shower. Then I could finally tell Chad to chill out. I was practically feeling the cool air of the barracks. Then it happened.
It was so fast on.
I barely registered it at first. Just a sudden, deafening crack, followed by another, and another pop, pop, pop in. Before I even knew what was happening, the windshield of our Humvee spider-webbed, and the sound of bullets ripping through metal was all around us. Ambush, Marcus yelled, slamming on the brakes. The Humvee lurched to a stop. Sergeant Reed was already on the gun, swiveling the turret, laying down suppressive fire. Miller, the new guy, looked absolutely terrified, fumbling with his rifle. I ducked down, my heart pounding against my ribs. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. This was bad, really bad. The militants were everywhere, popping up from behind rocks and abandoned buildings, just lighting us up. They had machine guns, RPGs, the whole 9 yards. We were totally exposed. The radio crackled to life, but it was just a chaotic mess of yelling and gunfire. We couldn't even get a clear signal to call for QRF. We were on our own. Are you hit? Kayla, Marcus yelled over the din, his voice strained. No, I'm fine, I shouted back, pressing myself against the dashboard. My mind was racing. How did this happen? How did we get into this mess? It was supposed to be a simple run. I saw a flash. Then a huge explosion rocked the truck behind us. Black smoke billowed into the sky. The truck, I screamed. They hit the truck. We need to move. Marcus yelled, trying to put the Humvee in reverse. But the tires were spinning in the sand. We were stuck. Trapped. Sergeant Reed was still firing.
But he was taking hits.
I saw a streak of red appear on his arm. Miller was still trying to get his bearings, just staring wide-eyed at the chaos. He looked like he was going to throw up. Honestly, he was useless. Miller, fire your weapon. I screamed at him, even though my own hands were shaking. I grabbed my rifle, fumbled with the safety, and tried to get a bead on something. Anything, but it was just a blur of muzzle flashes and dust. The gunfire seemed to intensify. It felt endless. I could hear the rounds tearing through the armor, pinging off the metal around us. I kept thinking, this is it. This is how it ends. And then a little voice in my head, a nasty one, whispered, you shouldn't have ignored that checkpoint. I pushed it down. No time for that. Suddenly, Sergeant Reed let out a cry of pain. He slumped against the gun, his body going limp. Reed, Sergeant Reed, Marcus yelled, trying to reach him. I stared at him, my breath catching in my throat. He wasn't moving. He was just gone, right there, in front of me, just a few feet away. And it was because I had been so impatient, because I couldn't be bothered to wait for a stupid radio check. I didn't let myself think about it. I couldn't. I had to focus. Marcus was trying to drag Sergeant Reed away from the gun. Someone needs to get on the gun, he yelled, grunting with effort. Miller, bless his terrified heart, finally snapped out of it. He scrambled over the seats, still shaking, and grabbed the handles of the gun. He started firing, wildly at first, then more steadily. He was a terrible shot, but at least he was doing something. I grabbed the radio. Mayday. Mayday. This is Convoy 3. Taking heavy contact. Need immediate QRF. Our position is, we're about 5 clicks past the Algarve checkpoint. Headed north. I fudged the distance a little, making it sound like we were closer to our original route than we actually were. No point in admitting I'd gone off script when we were literally under fire. It felt like forever, but eventually, the sound of rotors grew louder. A Black Hawk, then another, swooping in. QRF, thank God. They started laying down fire, pushing the militants back. The tide was turning. The moment the firing subsided, Marcus was out of the Humvee, checking on Sergeant Reed. He came back, his face grim. He's gone. Kyla, he's gone. Miller was still at the gun, staring blankly ahead, his face streaked with sweat and grime. He looked completely shattered. And the truck behind us, it was a burned-out husk. No one could have survived that. Back at the phobie, it was a nightmare. The investigation started almost immediately. They asked me what happened. I played dumb, real dumb. I don't know, sir. We just hit a patch of road. And then they were everywhere. It was a complete surprise. I made sure to emphasize how sudden it was. How no one could have seen it coming. They kept asking about the checkpoint warning.
Did you receive a warning from the Algarve checkpoint?
Contractor Davies. I shook my head, putting on my best innocent face. No. Sir. The radio was really bad out there. Lots of static. We didn't hear anything clear. I even managed to squeeze out a few tears, just to really sell it. You know, weaponized vulnerability. It works every time. These guys never know what to do when a woman cries. They just back off. Marcus, bless his naive heart, backed me up. He mumbled something about the radio being spotty and how he hadn't clearly understood the warning either. He was probably just too shocked to remember what actually happened. Or maybe he was just trying to protect me. Either way, it worked. They couldn't prove I had deliberately ignored the warning. It was my word against a fuzzy radio transmission and some bewildered Iraqi soldiers. So I got a stern talking to about situational awareness and communication protocols. But nothing major. No court-martial. No dishonorable discharge. Just a lot of dirty looks from the guys in Sergeant Reed's squad. And the guys from the truck, well, they went around to give me dirty looks. I finished out my contract. It was awkward, obviously. Everyone knew something was off, even if they couldn't prove it. The vibe was just different. People avoided me. Marcus was quiet, always looking at me with this distant, tired look in his eyes. Miller, the new guy, he got rotated out of our unit pretty quickly. He looked absolutely haunted. Probably had nightmares for months. But hey, it wasn't my fault he couldn't handle the pressure, right? He was too green for this kind of work anyway. When I finally got back home, I thought it would be better, but it wasn't. Chad had already moved on, of course. Said I was emotionally unavailable. Whatever. He was just looking for an excuse. Then my old friends back in Michigan started acting weird. Word travels, I guess. Or maybe they just picked up on the fact that I was different, more jaded, more me. They kept asking about the deployment, but I just shrugged it off. It was fine, just a lot of sand. I tried to get a job in security, using my experience. But every time I mentioned my contracting work, they'd ask for references, and the few numbers I had would just lead to uncomfortable silence. I suspect someone put in a quiet word. Can't blame them. I guess some people just can't handle the truth. So now, here I am, in Chicago. Can't seem to hold down a job. My credit cards are maxed out. I live alone. Pretty much no one calls. No one comes over. Oh, it's funny. I wanted to end that mission early so bad. And now it feels like my whole life is just ending early. But it's not my fault.
It's never my fault.
Everyone else just makes things harder than they have to be. They just don't understand. I was doing my best. They just underestimated me.